The morning after the night before Chelsea became champions of Europe once again. Some will say it's shameless. Some will say we do not deserve to win the Conference League after that first half performance. But we went on to win the Conference League last night. Now, I want to get into the video first of all by saying commiserations to Real Betis because I thought they played amazing in that first half. Manuel Pellegrini had them playing some really good football. And in terms of how they set up Real Betis, it was spot on. It was absolutely spot on. They got everything right. In terms of the goal that they scored, it was just everything, everything. So commiserations to Real Betis because I thought they were brilliant finalists. They played well to obviously get to the final. And as I said, that first half performance from them, it was only because of the changes I think Maresca makes at, the second half time. It changes things for Chelsea. But for Chelsea, what a performance in the second half. Let's not jump the gun. Let's go back to the lineup first of all, because the lineup was I'm going to be honest, it was a bit crazy. We had obviously Jurgensen, who we thought was going to be in goal. We then got to see Malo Gusto, who hasn't had the best of seasons at Chelsea, come into the team, which I thought was the biggest mistake so far. It's the first red flag. Then we got Trevor Chalobah and Benoit Badiashile, who again, you've got Levi Colwill, you've got Tosin on the bench, two very comfortable, confident, calm centre-backs. And you've got Badiashile, who again, I get why, because he's obviously played a lot of the Conference League matches. Maresca, maybe a bit of sentiment there to give him maybe one final game if he does leave in the summer. But like Mourinho said, finals are not to be played, they're to be won. You're meant to win the final. And you start off, I said yesterday, in the preview, you start your best 11, you bring on the other players in the second half. If you're 4-1 up, 3-1 up, then make a couple of changes. But to start with Gusto and Badiashile was a bit knee-jerky. I don't think that reaction was needed. I don't think he needed to change the squad that much yesterday. But he went on with Marc Cucurella at left back, Enzo Fernandez, Moises Caicedo in the midfield. And as I called yesterday, and I got it right, Pedro Neto, Noni Madueke was switching on the flanks. 1 minute they was on the left, then they was on the right and swapping over. As I said, it'd be very intricate with those two because they can play on both flanks. If I'm going to be honest though, I did think Noni Madueke was getting a bit more joy and service down that right side when he was on the right. And again, for Pedro Neto, it made sense for him to be on the left. I felt Madueke was a bit isolated in terms of that first half, especially not really knowing what to do on that left side. He was almost getting the ball, receiving it, not willing to take on the defender, having to cut back in or to go back towards defence, goalkeeper situation. So I just don't think, for me personally, it worked for Noni Madueke to be on that left side a lot. And again, when Neto was on the left, you got to see a different dynamic in terms of Neto willing to take on the left back, the right back, and creating something or trying to create something. But Cole Palmer as the 10 and Nicholas Jackson as the striker, as I called it in the match preview. Now, Enzo Maresca, the only thing I can say about Enzo Maresca is he got it wrong. He absolutely got it wrong in terms of how we were lined up, the tactics, having Malo Gusto drop into that midfield, which actually was the mistake that he made that cost us that goal, was because Malo Gusto makes that pass. He doesn't make it in the correct way. Before you know it, Isco's got the ball and Elyounoussi goes on to score the goal for Real Betis, and it was just one of those goals that was that happened more than once in that first half. We'd get the ball, play it out from the back. Badiashile didn't look comfortable playing out from the back. Again, that then put Chalobah under a bit of pressure, even for the goal. Gusto isn't back in his natural right back position. He's still coming in from that midfield, inverting. Chalobah doesn't make up the ground to stop or block the shot. It was just a catalogue of errors, and it happened more than once. It could have been 2, maybe 3-0. Albeit because Jurgensen pulled off, I think, a really good save from a shot that was outside the box almost. But I don't know why Maresca set that team up the way he did, but he did. Half-time comes, I think every Chelsea fan, I could hear Chelsea fans left, right, centre. My phone was going crazy as well. Everyone was saying, we need to see Reece James come into into the game. Play as a right back. He can play better as he drops into that midfield. He's better going forward. Lo and behold, half-time, we see the captain's armband. We see Reece James gearing up the team. He's getting his team ready. He's riling the team up to go out there and put in a better performance. And I'm pretty sure Maresca would have gave them a rollicking at half-time because that performance in the first half was poor. Whatever was said at half-time, it bloody worked because we went out, we came back out into that second half and we looked like a completely different team. An absolute complete... You could see the difference from the game kicks off second half. You can see the difference straight away. Brilliant bit of play for the first goal. Enzo Fernandez, a ball comes in. I think it might be Cole Palmer, Reece James that brings the ball in for Enzo. Brilliant head. I'll be honest, I was getting a drink at that point when that goal was going in. I think I needed that. I needed a drink. So I wasn't even in the room when the goal was scored. But brilliant header into the from Enzo Fernandez, straight down the middle of the goal. Beautiful header. The start of good things to come for Chelsea yesterday because that goal goes in. We then get to see what I thought was the best bit of football, I'll be honest. I mean, before I get to the goals, we did get to see, again, some substitutions come on after that. We saw 61 minutes, we saw Jadon Sancho enter the game. Benoit Badiashile goes off for Levi Colwill. I think later on we get to see Keenan Dewsbury-Hall and Mark Gui come on as well. But those two changes again, Sancho coming in, Colwill coming in, the squad that really potentially should have started the game for us, they come in. Colwill gives a bit more calmness in the back line, the defensive line. You then get someone like Jadon Sancho, who again is more committed to trying to take on a player, or like he did yesterday, shoot and score. But the second goal was a thing of beauty. And if you haven't seen the goal, the build up to it, head over to our Instagram, head over to our Twitter account. You'll be able to see Theo, who was in the stadium last night, captures it brilliantly from the seat that he was in. You'll see the 180 from Cole Palmer. He's waiting for Jackson or someone to make that run into the box. He times it really well. He sees the run's been made. He 180s the defender. Cole Palmer whips the ball straight in. And look, Nicholas Jackson has had a lot of criticism, not just from me, but from a lot of Chelsea fans this season. And rightfully so. Let's get that in there. That's rightfully so, the criticism. But last night, that's what we need to see from our striker. In the box, clinical, first to the ball, bang, bish, bosh, straight into the back of the net. That's exactly what we need from him. Every single game, not just in the final, but every game, he should be so more deadly. He's got to be much more deadly in that box and create something. Take the chances, because last night, although he nearly fumbled it, I mean, it came off his chest, almost his arm, but he fumbles the goal. He gets the goal. And Jadon Sancho, this is what we mean. I'm pretty sure, half of me thinks, because Todd Bowley was in the crowd last night with Egbali, part of me thinks the 25 million was wired straight to United last night, because that goal is what we know Jadon Sancho is capable of doing. The little touch out from underneath his feet, underneath his body, Adrian never stood a chance. One is he hasn't got a good sight of where Sancho is about to strike the ball because the defender's right in front of him. But two, Jadon Sancho is so smart because he takes the ball just from underneath his feet a little bit. And the two movements away from his body and straight away takes the shot. It gives Adrian no chance to even set himself up to try and save that goal. And it was a brilliant goal from Sancho. And that's another thing that we know he's got the capabilities to do it. So why isn't he doing that more often? I know that there's been many times when Chelsea fans, maybe some of the players, I know Cole Palmer said it after the game that he was frustrated that there was a lot of negative passing back to the goalkeeper, back to our centre-backs, rather than trying to take on our position. Jadon Sancho proved that we can do it. Last night, the goal was brilliant. Top corner, top bins, top right corner. We need to see more of that. If he was doing that week in, week out for us, I'm sure the 25 million would be an issue for the club to pay Manchester United. But there is still that doubt whether he stays. Do we pay the 5 million release clause to get him out of his loan deal and send him back to United? It's still TBC. But if he was doing that week in, week out for us, there would be no question marks over whether he should stay at the club, because he's that good. On his day, he's that good. We fought 3-1. I thought we were coasting. I thought we've done. I was celebrating. And then all I see is another goal. I see Enzo Fernandez pass the ball to Moises Caicedo. We all probably, again, in the stadium on our TVs was telling Moises Caicedo to shoot. He does exactly that. Bottom corner, what a goal. To wrap off what was even a very chaotic start to an evening, but what a brilliant way to end a final for us. For me, was brilliant. But I say all that to say this. That should be the first and last time we lift that trophy. We don't have any reason to be in the Conference League ever again. That's not the Chelsea standard. It's not. We've gone from Champions League winners, Europa League winners, UEFA Cup winners, Super Cup winners, Club World Cup winners to the Conference League. Now, I'm not disrespecting the Conference League because we've won it. You know, we've had some really difficult games in between, you know, the season. But at the same time as well, that should be the thing now that, and I said yesterday, this is a building block to get some of these players to think about the Club World Cup, to get them thinking about how they're going to enter into the Champions League. This is now a moment for some of these players who, if I'm correct, there's only Cucurella who won the Euros. Enzo Fernandez would have won the World Cup. Can't think of many others that have won trophies in our current squad. Obviously, Reece James previous to that, but I'm talking about some of the ones that have come in recent times. Enzo's won the World Cup and Cucurella, I think, has won the Euro. So there's not many of these players that have won anything major in their careers ever. This should be the thing that they should get, that feeling of winning the trophy, parading it around after full time. You know, the celebrations probably in the dressing room, you know, the party that they'll probably have at some point, maybe today, tomorrow. But that should be the thing that gets these players thinking, right, I want that. That's my drug. I want to make sure that every time we enter a competition, that's what we aim to do. We aim to win it. That's the Chelsea previous DNA under the previous owners, is to win every single trophy possible. You know, we've been getting to quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals of the Champions League or the FA Cup, League Cup. We've got to be back there next season. No ifs or buts. And winning this trophy, getting the objective of winning the Conference League, which is what we as Chelsea fans set out for us to do at the start of the season, and getting the top four, not top five, top four finish in the Champions League to get to qualify, our objectives have been met this season now. This is now the opportunity for the owners to dig deep in their pockets, go and get the striker that we need. Go and bring in another centre-half. Go and get those two options. Go and get those two players in. Because the Champions League will not be Astana and Djurgården and Legia Warsaw. This is going to be the big ones, the big fish. So we have to be ready for them. We have to go and get a Victor Gyökeres, who apparently we're being linked with again this morning, but we have to go and get one of those players in. Because if we go into that with Mark Gui and Nicholas Jackson, to credit him, even though he scored a goal yesterday, we're not even going to get it out of the groups, are we? We're not even going to make it out of that groups. The new format of the Champions League, we're not even going to get out of that. We're not even going to do well in the Club World Cup. We've got to start thinking about bringing in a striker next week, because that Club World Cup starts in 2 weeks' time. We've got to have our striker in before them to take him to the Club World Cup to try and win it. That's the mentality of Chelsea's DNA now, to go and win trophies. Club World Cup starts in 2 weeks. We should be aiming to win that. Pre-season, let's have a good one. Let's start the season well again. Let's go into that Champions League ready, because it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. And credit to Maresca, because that final last night would have meant a lot to him. You know, the severe connections, obviously Real Betis, again, they have a local rivalry. He knew Manuel Pellegrini very, very well as well, about his, working together previously to this as well. So this would have meant so much to him. And as well, I know he's won he got Leicester promoted and all the rest of it, but this will feel like something he's actually achieved, you know, off his own merit as well. This is something that, you know, a lot of the fans, again, including myself at times, have criticised, questioned, is he the right man for the job? But tonight he proved why. You know, even his explanation as to why Reece James wasn't starting, the attitude from Reece James for the fact he wasn't starting, you could see what it meant to him after the game in terms of, you know, Reece James saying, you know, we need to step up and do more. That's the Chelsea way of doing things. Cole Palmer, you know, was in his usual traditional sort of calm self in terms of, you know, the press conference afterwards, saying that, you know, he was sick of passing the ball back. He wanted to be a bit more aggressive going forward. And again, you know, this is what we need from the Chelsea players now, to step up and to back the manager back the players. And we as fans now just need to see another gear, another level to this team, because it's there. You can see that it's there. You saw it last night. You're 1-0 down. You come back 4-1 to win the game. against a Real Betis team. Let's have it right as well. This Real Betis team was not just an easy game. It was not an easy game because that first half told you that and proved that this was going to be a difficult night. And it was because of those changes and the timing of those changes, which is so crucial, which I said yesterday in the preview, why we went on to win the game. So we've clocked it. We've won everything. We've won it all. Europa League, Champions League, Super Cup, Conference League. We've won it all. And we are the first club to ever do that. Now, some will say that's embarrassing and shameless, but to say you've won every single European trophy is, for me, as a Chelsea fan, is something that we should be proud of. Again, I don't think there's any, apart from maybe Emerson, who used to play for us. And I think Jose Mourinho are the only people individually that have done exactly what our football club have done last night. So it's a massive thing. And Arsenal, I'm sure they'd grab the Conference League if they could right now. I'm really sure they would. Brighton, I'm sure would take a Conference League. Crystal Palace, United would probably take the Conference League now if they could, based on the fact they didn't win the Europa League. So can't turn our nose up at a trophy, in my opinion. It's a trophy. The players clearly enjoyed it last night. We as fans enjoyed it last night. It's not one that we'll talk about in 25 years to come, but it will be one that will hopefully springboard these players and the manager and the club to get the work done in the summer to then be ready for next season. So let me know what you think in the comments. Was you happy with that final? Should Maresca have started the team that eventually ended the game last night? Where do Chelsea go from here now? Who should we sign in the summer? Let me know. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe. We are on the road to 800 subscribers. And the Linktree link is in the description for our social accounts as well. Until then, thank you very much and we'll be back soon.